In this build, Yugen in the Hills, the University of Turadorn comes to life. While it's the end of the Second Great War, the Fire and Earth Accords are all but signed, and Turadorn is looking to the future. The first Grandmaster OG of the Fire is looking to establish the realm as a prosperous and leading nation in both size and strength. With construction of the great city of Omani being planned to a massive scale, OG was looking to build something that would hold its value through the time of fire. He thought to himself, when it's all over, what was the most important thing he could leave behind? This build is Yugen in the Hills. Make sure if you're enjoying today's story, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any further upcoming stories. With a whole world and potential, there's so much more that can be done, and I look forward to the opportunity. For many, it's a university that is more about teaching respect and understanding than it is about teaching students the basics of how to wield their elements. While it stands at the second highest point in the whole city, its build is not intended to draw your eyes, and that's for a reason. The city of Omani is currently under construction and is set to have many different builds, sections, and draws. As the Grandmaster OG always says, there are many beautiful things in this world, and they all have something different to teach you. You just have to see it when you're ready. Yugen in the Hill has 4 main buildings and 5 total structures. It'll be built on the south end of Omani, on top of the ridgeline. It'll have an entrance called Zanzu's Gate that opens, leading into the Building of Elements. The positioning of the buildings will represent north, south, east, and west. Once you make your way through, you can go left to Holland Hall. To represent the south end will be the Soroka Room, where classes are taught, and to the east will be the dorm house, with the token fountain in the center. Hiroki, of the prominent Zanzu family, was a young, ambitious man who stood tall with every word. Even though he was short in stature, with short trimmed black hair and a rugged voice, he had a known appetite to be the greatest builder of his time. He was already known for his ability to build with raw wood material, and he designed the stone and wood accents seen together today through the realm. Even though the war was at an end, all 4 realms were still vying to display their dominance in many different ways. Building quickly became the leading competition between the nations. Grandmaster OG of the Fire asked Hiroki to come up with the design and build the first university to study the arts of the known elements. Even though formal education was not highly sought after, this would be the first building of its kind dedicated to furthering the knowledge on the very elements they use every day. The school would be called Yugen in the Hill. The word Yugen means dark or obscure. It suggests beauty that is only partially perceived. Later known as Yugen University, Yugen in the Hill is meant to show beauty in the elements which you can see scattered throughout the grounds. The element of earth in the grand stairs leading up to the school represents the beauty in the world. Fire in the floor that you walk upon when entering symbolize everything you start can turn into a fire burning inside you to become something greater. Water from the fountain that holds at the center points of the ground symbolize even though a difficult obstacle may be in the way, life will continue to flow no matter the obstacles. And finally, the wind represented by the sand path that leads to the students to everywhere on campus, which symbolize your path in life. You may not know where the wind is taking you, but you always end up where you're supposed to be. After Hiroki was instructed to build Yugen, it took almost 3 years to complete. Much of the wood that was used in the beginning construction was imported from the west end of the realm, where you can find oak, spruce, or birchwood. Hiroki would soon find an alternative, but it would take almost 2 years to do so. The university had a hard time at first finding volunteers to help construction. With it being right after the war and on the top of a snow-covered cliff, no formal path or walkway up, and much of the cliff needing to be built up to support the buildings, there was an understandable shortage of volunteers. With the shortage of volunteers and tension still high from the war, Hiroki took up the opportunity in front of him. Hiroki met with the Grandmaster and suggested they invite one of the noble Earthrealm clans to live in the city of Omani. They could use their building skills and craftsmanship to help expedite the build of the university and could serve as an ambassador to mend the relationship between the Earth and Fire realms. They would name one of the 5 structures after the family that came over and would grant them a dedicated section in Omani to live. The Grandmaster agreed, and so they invited the Kai clan of Earth to live in Omani, help build the university, and help build better relationships between the two realms. The Earth Realm accepted and sent the Kai family to Omani to help build Yugen in the Hill. The Kai clan was a group of builders that were an up-and-coming family that was making great strides to become one of the prominent Earth Realm building clans. Upon arrival, the Kai family immediately drew up plans for the Holland Hall and Soroka Room. Starting first on the Holland Hall, it would serve as a common hall used for large gatherings, meal hours, and service non-essential off hours for any on-campus activities. It's a great place to gather together for informal lessons and share time together. The design behind the hall was an ode to all the realms. Each realm represented a main element that is seen on the stained glass wall in the back of the hall. In total, they used wood blocks to form the hall along with stones, 2 watchtowers, and a stained glass wall behind the professor's table, which hold a layer of lava behind it. Each row of stained glass is of different colors representing the 4 main elements. From left to right, when looking at them, the blue is for water, the red is for fire, the white stained glass in the middle is a symbol for common ground, that all can come together and form something greater. The green is for earth, and the yellow is for the wind. After the hall on the south end, the Soroka Room. This is the official classroom where formal teachings about elements are taught. There are currently 3 professors on staff. Professor Hino, who has the morning classes, teaches history. One must understand the history and origins of something. To understand what is to come is to understand what has came before you. The second class, which is during midday, is taught by Professor Hun. This class has teachings about the individual elements of nature. The third class of the day is taught by Professor Soroka Kai. Soroka Kai is an older gentleman who is a part of the Kai clan that was invited by the fire from the Earth Realm. This is the third way in which they attempt to build trust and stable relationships between the two realms. Professor Soroka teaches a class about the greater world, about all 4 nations and foreign relationships. While the classroom is open, its intent with the glass ceiling and walls is to show there is an outside world and so much more that can be learned from just a book. The fourth build is the dorms. Each separate tower has a room to hold 2 students and houses them for a semester. Meant to house 8 students a semester, the dorm is saved for students outside of the city of Omani. Every semester, the university invites 4 students from the Earth Realm, 4 students from the surrounding villages. Each student must enter a lottery to be selected, as their living quarters and food is taken care of for a whole semester. While formal education isn't a requirement, most every element wielder in Omani and the Fire Realm is able to attend while staying at their respective residence and walk to class. The last structure on campus is the Token Fountain. The fountain was a gift from the Earth Realm. The calmness it brings in a tense world is one that can't be underrated. Although the fountain is not the most complex build, it brings calmness and stability and simplicity in a time of need. And sometimes, that's all you need.